In France, at the end of the 1700s, there was a powerful kingdom, but it had big problems. The country, with its pretty landscapes and quiet villages, was hiding growing anger among the people. The French monarchy, ruled by King Louis XVI, looked rich and powerful. The king and his court lived in unbelievable luxury. Their home, the Palace of Versailles, showed everyone how rich they were. But under all that gold and glitter, France was deeply divided. The gap between the rich and the poor was huge. It was easy to see how unfair things were. French society was like a ladder. The clergy and the nobles were at the top, with lots of special rights. The peasants and city workers were at the bottom. They paid all the taxes. Unfair laws protected the rich and powerful. The French economy was in big trouble. Expensive wars and the king's spending habits were draining the treasury. Debts were piling up and the government was running out of money. And then, things got even worse. Bad harvests led to food shortages and high prices. Hunger and misery were everywhere, making people desperate. The French people were already struggling with unfairness and a bad economy. They started to resent the king's lavish lifestyle. They saw how much he spent while they were starving. Protests and revolts became more common. Everything was in place for a revolution. It was a huge change that would destroy the old ways and create a new France. The storming of the Bastille in 1789 was the start of this big change. The year 1789 began with a sense of approaching crisis in France. The economic situation was disastrous. Harvests had failed, and famine threatened the population. Discontent was growing among the different social classes. The king, desperately seeking funds, convened the Estates General, a representative assembly that hadn't met for over 150 years. This decision was an admission of the monarchy's inability to solve the kingdom's problems alone. The Estates General, made up of the clergy, the nobility, and the commoners, was supposed to solve the kingdom's financial problems. However, the tension between these groups was obvious from the start. However, the assembly itself became a hotbed of discontent. The debates were heated, and there were many disagreements on how to proceed. The commoners, representing the vast majority of the population, demanded greater representation and an end to the privileged status of the clergy and nobility. They wanted their voices to be heard and their living conditions to improve. Their demands, echoing the Enlightenment ideals of liberty and equality, met with resistance from the privileged classes. The latter feared losing their advantages and power. On June 17, 1789, frustrated by the stalemate, the members of the Third Estate declared themselves the National Assembly, asserting their right to govern France. This act symbolized their determination to change the political system. This act of defiance, a direct challenge to the king's absolute authority, is widely considered the spark that ignited the French Revolution. France would never be the same after this historic day. The tension in Paris was thick in the summer of 1789. The streets were filled with whispers and worried looks. Every corner of the city seemed to buzz with nervous energy. Rumors of royal troops gathering outside the city spread like wildfire, creating an atmosphere of suspicion and fear. This fueled fear and paranoia among the people. Parisians wondered what the future held, fearing a violent crackdown. On July 14, 1789, a Parisian crowd, seeking to arm themselves against the perceived threat, stormed the Bastille, an imposing fortress that had long served as a symbol of royal tyranny. The Bastille, with its thick walls and menacing towers, was a constant reminder of royal oppression. The storming of the Bastille was more than just a military victory, it was a symbolic act of defiance, a visceral demonstration of the power of the people. The streets echoed with cries of joy and triumph, marking a moment of collective liberation. The fall of the Bastille marked a turning point in the revolution, emboldening the revolutionaries and signaling the crumbling of royal authority in France. Across the country, similar uprisings erupted as peasants revolted against their feudal lords, burning down castles and demanding an end to centuries of oppression. The French Revolution, once a political movement confined to the halls of power, had become a popular uprising, forever changing the course of French history. The flames of revolt were spreading, transforming the political and social landscape of the country. The French Revolution, once a political movement confined to the halls of power, had become a popular uprising, forever changing the course of French history. The ideals of liberty, equality, and fraternity were taking root, inspiring future generations. France would never be the same, marking the beginning of a new era of transformation and progress. The French Revolution was a wild time of big changes. It was full of both big ideas and scary times. In the middle of all this chaos were some people whose actions and choices changed everything. Louis XVI, the king, meant well but couldn't make up his mind. He had a hard time keeping up with all the changes happening around him. His queen, Marie Antoinette, was once a symbol of elegance and fancy things, but she became a target of the people's anger. They said she spent too much money and betrayed France. Maximilien Robespierre, a lawyer and revolutionary leader, became a really important figure during the Reign of Terror, a super violent and scary time. Robespierre really believed in the revolution's ideas, but he also ruthlessly went after anyone he thought was against the revolution. This made him both a beloved leader and a feared tyrant. When he was executed in 1794, it marked the end of the Reign of Terror, but it left a scar on France that never really went away. Section 5. The Reign of Terror, a time of fear and bloodshed. From 1793 to 1794, France fell into a time of terrible violence and paranoia known as the Reign of Terror. The revolutionary government, facing pushback from within and threats from outside, took increasingly extreme measures to protect the revolution and its ideals. The Committee of Public Safety, led by Robespierre, oversaw the creation of a huge network of surveillance and repression targeting supposed enemies of the revolution. Thousands of people, from aristocrats to everyday citizens, were arrested, judged by revolutionary courts, and executed by the guillotine. The Reign of Terror, though supposedly meant to protect the revolution, became a time of uncontrolled violence and fear. The random nature of the arrests and executions, along with the constant threat of being reported, created an atmosphere of suspicion and paranoia that soaked into French society. Section 6. The Rise of Napoleon. From Revolution to Empire. As the French Revolution entered its second decade, a new figure emerged from the chaos: Napoleon Bonaparte. A brilliant military strategist and ambitious leader, Napoleon rose through the ranks of the Revolutionary Army, winning a series of stunning victories against France's enemies. In 1799, Napoleon seized power in a coup, establishing himself as first consul of France. He consolidated his power, implemented a series of reforms, and embarked on a series of military campaigns that would engulf much of Europe. Napoleon's rise marked a major turning point in the history of the French Revolution. The ideals of liberty, equality, and fraternity, once the rallying cries of the revolutionaries, were gradually eclipsed by Napoleon's ambition for power and empire. Section 7. The Legacy of the Revolution. Echoes in the Modern World. The French Revolution, a seismic event that shook the foundations of Europe, left a lasting legacy on the world. The ideals of liberty, equality, and fraternity, enshrined in the Declaration of the Rights of Man and of the Citizen, became a rallying cry for revolutionaries and reformers worldwide. The impact of the revolution extended far beyond France, inspiring independence movements in Latin America and challenging the legitimacy of monarchies across Europe. The French Revolution demonstrated the power of popular uprisings and the fragility of established orders. Section 8. France transformed. Lasting impacts of the revolution. In France, the revolution led to deep and lasting changes. The abolition of feudalism, the Declaration of the Rights of Man, and the establishment of a republic based on popular sovereignty transformed French society. The impact of the revolution on religion was just as profound, with the confiscation of church property, the civil constitution of the clergy, and the rise of secularism. The French Revolution, despite its excesses and contradictions, left an indelible mark on the history of France, shaping the country's political, social, and cultural landscape for centuries to come. Section 9. Conclusion. The enduring significance of the French Revolution. The French Revolution was a turning point in human history, a testament to the power of ideas and the enduring human desire for liberty and equality. It was a complex and contradictory event marked by both idealism and terror, progress and carnage. Yet despite its flaws, the French Revolution remains a powerful symbol of the transformative potential of revolution, a reminder that even the most deeply rooted power systems can be challenged and overthrown. Its legacy continues to shape our world, inspiring us to strive for a more just and equitable society.